It was different being in here teaching all day. You'd hear the teachers, and on either side of me, they were talking to the students on their computers too. So, all right. So, guys, what I want to do is go over again, just to remind you everything, especially those of you that have already got it started or have the draft done. That's great. I do want to review with some of your classmates what you need to do. So, guys, just to recap, a memoir is a true story about the author. The author writes it, some event. Remember, it's not an autobiography about your entire life. It's about one event in your life. So we call it a memoir. So it needs to be true as it can be based on, especially if it's a memory when you were really little. We don't always remember the details as they may have actually happened. That's why a memoir is often defined as based on true things, something true, okay? Because you remember it this way, but maybe the details are a little cloudy. Maybe somebody else that experienced it remembers it slightly differently, because we all have different perspectives and different point of view. But it's told from your point of view or the author's point of view. And it is also, like I said, it reads like a story, okay? So that's why we gave you this pre-writing for you to do that kind of sets it up like it follows a story. I'm still in House on Mango Street. Oh, while I'm scrolling through House on Mango Street, there's only one person who has turned in their final project. Okay, that's a big chunk of points. You need to get those projects done and turned in. All right. There's only one of you that has turned it in the entire class. And that would be Charlotte. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's look at this pre-writing memoir. Okay. So this is to help you. What you need to think about is some event in your life, some story that you could tell. It could be something really happy and fun and goofy. It could be something, something else that's more sad or more serious that had an impact on you. That is up to you. But you need to tell a story, something that happened in your life. I think I shared a couple of, I'm so much older than you. I'm 57. I've had a lot of different experiences. There are some things from when I was a little kid that I could tell you, like my first day of first grade. And I could describe to you the boy in my class who was being chased down the hall by the principal. His name was Timmy. And he was screaming, "I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school." And my principal at the time, Mr. McNew, he was this tall, skinny man, kind of Abraham Lincoln-like. He had a mustache, but no beard. And he did not wear the stovepipe hat. But, I could still see his long legs chasing Timmy down the hallway. But Timmy was short. Timmy was fast. He was very fast. And Mr. McNew was trying to dodge those kids, the other kids in the hallway. And there goes Timmy in and out, And I remember going into class. My dad had walked me to school because Dad didn't go into work until later in the afternoon. And Dad, he brought me into the class. And I can remember my seat was near the back. And I'm looking around and settling in. And I was always kind of loud and boisterous. And one of my classmates was a friend of mine from church. Her name was Jody, and I remember seeing Jody walking in, and I remember yelling and waving really big, "Hey, Jody!" And then I got this look from my teacher, my first grade teacher, Mrs. Nash, and she was old, okay, older than me right now, than I am now. She had been in the building forever. And she was also a very thin woman, sort of short, but very proper and rather stern. And I remember getting this look from her. She didn't have to say anything. All she had to do was look at me. And there was this look that said, "Little girls in my classroom do not behave this way." And from that point on, guys, I was quiet. And she wrote on my report card, my first report card, Mrs. Nash wrote, "Too shy." And my parents looked at that and they thought she had mixed me up with another kid. Because believe me, at home, I was not shy. But at that point, that stern look from Mrs. Nash, I mean, it was a complete turnaround because in kindergarten, they gave us grade. We didn't get A's and B's and stuff in kindergarten. We got S plus. That was satisfactory plus. That was the best grade. You got an S for satisfactory, or they could give you an S minus, meaning it was not, you had to work on these things, or U's, unsatisfactory. A U was the worst. And that's how that was our grades in kindergarten. And I remember I got lots of S minuses and listens well and keeps hands away from others and talks quietly. S minuses across the board in those areas because I was loud and I was boisterous. I mean, I did well in school, except I was noisy, at least in kindergarten. And, my parents were used to that. They were used to how I was doing at home. But then they get this report card that says too shy, and they're like, I don't think she has the right kid, because I was never like that. But it was like this strange turnaround. And from that point in school, I was always very quiet until maybe my senior year of high school. And then I was loud again, but I don't know. I was always loud at home. So I could, there you go. There's a memoir. I could give you other descriptive details. Or I could talk about my enemy in school. Did you ever have an enemy? He probably really wasn't my enemy, but it sort of felt like that. My nemesis, I could call him that. Dwayne, his name was. He was a redhead. Not that that really had anything to do with it, but not only were we in classes together, we were always tended to be in the same class, but we would also end up in Bible school together because our two churches would come together for Bible school. We were smaller churches, and we'd always have Bible school together. And there he was from the other church. So even in the summer, and my aunt thought he was just marvelous. And I'm like, you don't really know him, Aunt Mignon. Yes, I have an aunt named Mignon. A little bit of an unusual name. On the other side of the family, I have an aunt named Dorcas. They're both in their 90s now. But, you could tell things like this. You could tell stories. Can you tell? I've missed all of you. I keep wanting to talk and tell you stories. But these are things that you could include in your memoirs. It could be something as silly as your first day of first grade. Or I think I told you, those of you that tuned in online, I could talk about my first day of high school. I was walking to high school and I stepped in dog doo-doo on my way to high school. Or how in 8th grade, I started 8th grade with the trifecta of middle school: acne, braces, glasses. All of them at once, okay? Had to get glasses, had just gotten braces, and then my acne shows up. Wasn't that fun? Okay. See, there's just things that you can talk about. So make sure in this pre-writing, you want to say, I'm writing about, tell me what you're going to write about. Most of all, I want the reader to know that I learned or I realized or I understood. Remember, there's supposed to be a theme to your story. Mine might be that, okay, sometimes just a look can change your whole attitude of how you do things. A stern look from a teacher. Or maybe it's that, okay, no matter the dog doo-doo, the braces, the glasses, the acne, you can survive and things will be okay. I mean, that might be my lesson for any of those stories. All right, and then you're going to tell me, what's it about? Who was involved? Where did it take place? When did it take place? And why? Okay. And then how are you going to start it? Okay. How are you going to start this? Then this is the body. And it's set up like a story map. So you're going to start here. Remember, you've got the rising action. What events happen? The conflict, the resolution. All right. And then how are you going to conclude it? What's the setting? What's the theme? And here's the ending. And some potential titles. All right. So if you haven't done this part yet, that's what you need to work on today, because I'm going to let you work here in a minute. All right. If you haven't done this part, you need to be doing this and getting it finished and submitted. I know a couple of you have submitted this, but not very many. If you are through this part and all you have to do is submit it, great. Go on to the rough draft. Start actually writing it into paragraphs. Start with your introduction. How are you going to start the story? Because if you've got all this laid out, then you can just start at the beginning. Okay? So what I'd like you to do is to at least have your introduction in the draft written for tomorrow. This done and your introduction written, your first paragraph of the draft done. All right, some of you are beyond that. A couple of you maybe. But I want those parts done. The whole pre-writing, and then I want at least the first paragraph of your draft. Okay? Because I'm going to be reading through your drafts before you do a final. Or we'll take a look at them. Okay? Questions? If you have not done the 6-word memoir, that's a really easy one. Some of you, a lot of you have got that finished, but some of you still have not done it. So that's a quick one. Maybe that will help you think about what you can do for this. So, questions? No? All right. So let's get to work. You still have 35 minutes that you can work on this. And if you need help with anything, just ask, okay? Please remember, if you need to get up and you need to come to my desk or something, put your mask on, have it over your nose.